Welcome back. It's Alfred again, going to do another Microsoft Office class video here. This is going to be for Microsoft Word Chapter 4. So I'm going to go ahead and get into our ebook. It should be about making a promotional flyer. So it's kind of a fun chapter. I'm going to open up the internet. I'm going to go to our website, which is bookshelf.vitalsource.com. As you can see it up there, bookshelf.vitalsource.com. Press enter. Remember to use the login information that I've assigned to you. I was logged in earlier today, so it didn't have me sign in. I'm going to go ahead and open our Office 19 book. And I'm going to use my table of contents in a moment, if it's not already open, which it is, to go to Word, Chapter 4, creating a promotional brochure. And I'll go to the chapter opener, give it a quick read, and then I'll size my window down like we've been doing. So Word Chapter 4, creating a promotional brochure, and I'm going to close the table of contents now. So what we're going to learn in creating a brochure, this is all about creating an eye-catching brochure, inserting shapes into a document, adding pictures, text boxes, and WordArt and special effects, choosing page setup features like margins, page borders, page color, a lot of fun stuff like that. We're going to communicate information with SmartArt. We're going to format the page background, and we're going to wrap text around a document and print part of a document. So I'm going to now size my book down. Okay, so now I'm going to continue on into the part of the chapter. I'm going to go ahead and go down here. And working with shapes. There's a large gallery of graphic shapes available to you, including lines, text boxes, rectangles, ovals, and many others. They can add interest to your documents, such as flyers, brochures, and you can even type in most shapes. You can rotate, resize, and move them as well. As you look in this little diagram down here, I'll just talk about what they're talking about. When a shape is selected, you get this dotted border going around it. This arrow here that goes in a circular shape is for rotating. When you point near the middle of the shape or near the dotted line, you see a four-headed arrow. Four-headed arrow always means move. Four-headed arrow means move. If you point to these little circles, those will give you a two-headed arrow. Two-headed arrows always mean resizing, making it bigger or smaller. They're talking here about sizing while holding the shift key. So if you point to one of these corners or whatever and hold the shift key while you drag, it keeps the proportions perfect. So you have something that's 1 by 1, it will proportionally grow bigger or smaller and stay absolutely perfect in size. To get to some of these options, to bring in a shape, you're going to go to Insert, Illustration, Shapes. And after the shape comes in, when it's highlighted, you will get a contextual tab called Drawing, Format. And sometimes you have some that have design, but that's not going to be a shape. That will be other objects. So I'm going to now do Develop Your Skills W4D1. And it says in this exercise, you'll draw a shape and move a shape. You'll also maintain a shape's proportion while holding the shift key. Step number 1 here says Open W4D1 Brochure. Save it into our Word Chapter 4 folder as W4D1 Brochure Revised. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up Word. I'm going to go here to Start. I'm going to scroll down to my W's and get to Microsoft Word. I'm going to go ahead and open the file. Open, go to Browse. As a reminder, my folder's not in, it's in the Documents folder, but deeper in a different way. Yours might be in the Documents folder, but hopefully you remember how to get there by now. So I'm going to go into my Office. Now I'm going to go into Alfred's Office 2019 Student Files. Still, we're in Microsoft Word, Chapter 4 now, and we're opening up W4D1 Brochure. Now, in order for me to see the book better and everything, I'm going to now size my window down. So I'm going to drag it off the left side of the screen, and it snaps to this other half over here. You will notice I already have my Show Hide on, which is Home, Paragraph, Show Hide. You may have turned it off before, left it on, I'm not 100% sure. We now need to do the Save As to name it Brochure Revised with the W4D1 part. So File, Save a Copy. I can go up here to change the file name, and I just add the word, I'm clicking after the word brochure, and I'm adding the word revised. I can go ahead and click Save now. Okay, I'm also going to zoom out a little bit so I can see a little bit more of the paper. as you can see, I want to be able to see kind of margin to margin, and I was zoomed in a way where I couldn't do that so easily. Maybe if I scroll a little bit this way. There you go. Now it's decently sized where we can see it together. And actually, I will keep my picture over here because I know that the first object we draw, I would cover it. So if necessary, step 2, turn on formatting marks. Mine are already on. Reminder, home, paragraph, show hide to turn it on. Step 3, choose Insert Illustration Shapes to display the Shapes gallery. So that's the Insert tab, Illustrations group, Shapes, and look at all the different shapes you can draw. And it says in step 4, choose the rounded rectangle. So in the rectangle category here, it's the second one in. And if you rest on it, it says rectangle rounded corners. I'm going to click it once. Now, after you click it, you'll see that my mouse became, or my arrow became what they call a crosshair, a plus looking symbol. Step 5 says click and drag anywhere in the document to draw a rounded rectangle. I don't normally click first. I just kind of line up where I want to draw it, hold my finger down and start to drag out. And I'll just make a rectangle like that, just for the fun of it. And you'll notice the color and everything that's coming from the theme. Step 6, choose Insert Illustration Shapes, and then choose the rounded rectangle corners again. So it's Insert tab, Illustration Shapes, the same second rectangle, but this time they want me in step 7. I'm going to hold the Shift key while I draw. And you'll notice it became more of a perfect square. The dimensions maintained, they were constrained, which means they maintained the proportions. Step number 8, with the square shape selected, that means the one we just drew. Notice that it has the line going around it, the little circles, the rotate handle. And this is for text wrapping. They get into it later. Step 8A says position the mouse pointer on the top right corner sizing handle. That's this one here. You want to see a double-headed arrow. Hold down the Shift key and drag diagonally towards the center to make it smaller. Let go of the mouse first, then let go of Shift. Step C says drag a side handle to change only the height or the width of the object. So if you point to the side handle, you can go in or you can go out, whatever you feel like doing. Step 9, follow these steps to rotate a shape. Step 9A, position the mouse pointer on the rotation handle, this, and drag to the right about 45 degrees. So I point here and I drag about that much. Or actually, according to their B, oh, they did drag to the right, but my shape is just different. But yeah, regardless, you can see how to rotate. Tip, holding the Shift key allows you to select multiple shapes at the same time. So step 10 says, if necessary, click one of the shapes to select it. Well, I still have sizing handles, so it's considered selected. And then Shift click the other shape. That's still step 10. So I hold down Shift, I click the other shape. Notice how they're both highlighted. Step 11 says press delete. Just know that when they're both highlighted like that, you can move them. You could delete them, whatever you need to do. Step 12 says, if necessary, choose View, Show Ruler. Notice that there's two rulers, one at the top and one on the left. So here's my top ruler, here's my left ruler. Step 13, we're going to go to the rounded rectangle again, believe it or not. Choose Insert Illustration Shapes and choose Rectangle Rounded Corners again. Insert Illustration Shapes, the rounded rectangle. Starting about 1 inch from the top of the page. So that's really close to, where this first kind of backwards paragraph symbol is. Start about 1 inch from the top of the page and about 2 inches down, 2 inches from the left of the page, or 1 inch from the left-hand margin. Draw a 1 inch tall rectangle that spans the page but remains in the margins. So in other words, I'm just going to drag more or less a box that's around, starting here at the margin area, going down to around 1, maybe a little below it, doesn't matter. Kind of go across to the other margin, which is approximately where this triangle is up here. Just eyeball it because you can make it bigger or smaller later. So practice dragging the shape to move it if you want to. Move it back to the original position when you're done. Adding text and formatting shapes. So they said save. I'm going to go ahead and save. Step 17 there. Adding text and formatting shapes. Essentially speaking, you can add text to any shape you draw that's not really a line. Lines you can't, it has to be a shape that has some kind of fill on it. And just know that as soon as you draw the shape, you can just type. You'll also notice that when you type, it's using the theme's defaults, and that includes the color of the shape, the color of the text, the size of the text, and the fact that the text is aligned vertically and horizontally. Okay. The contextual format tab contains many tools you can use to add pizzazz to a shape. So that's here where it says shape format. I'm currently on it now. These are a lot of tools to make the shape look even better, do some really cool stuff with it. We're going to do a lot of that kind of stuff through this chapter, but have fun at some point in your own experience. Play with it. That's the joy of it. So it says drawing, format, shape styles. So shape format is my name for that contextual ribbon. We have some shape styles. That's all this stuff, the inside color, whether it has 3D and stuff. We'll get to some of that. Step number 1 here says save your file as. This is develop your skills W4D2. I'm not going to do the save as. Once again, I skipped that a lot. Okay. Step 3 says turn on caps lock and type what we see here. Ergonomic office. Oh, I have to click in my box first. Sorry, I was in my book still. Ergonomic office. I left it up here. Solutions. Press enter and type presents. And then turn my caps lock off. Step 4 says click the border of the shape, taking care not to drag. By clicking this border when it's no longer dotted like this, it means you're highlighting all the text in there. It's selecting the whole object. That's going to become really vital in PowerPoint. So I click once on that border when I see the 4-headed arrow. Step 5 says choose Home, Font menu in Tahoma. So that's Home tab, my menu here for the font. And I'm going to press T for Tahoma. And I'm going to scroll a little bit slightly. Whoops. Click Tahoma. Step 6 says keep the shape selected. Click bold and make it size 22. So that's Home, Font, Bold. And then size 22 is where the 11 is here. That's Home, Font, where the 11 is. Click on 22. And it says in step 7, if your shape is not big enough for the larger text, drag a sizing handle to enlarge it. If you look really carefully on mine, the word presents is slightly cut off. So I'm going to point to this bottom middle handle and drag down just ever so slightly to make the word come in a little better. Okay, so now I'm on step number 8. Make sure the object is selected so the contextual format tab is available. That's here, shape format, or yours might say drawing tools format. And then it says choose drawing tools format or shape format for me, shape styles. So shape format, shape styles, and click the more button. That's this button right here to see all of the whole gallery. And as you point to the different items in this gallery, they'll tell you the name of them. Step 9 says choose subtle effect blue accent 1. I believe it's this one here. Subtle effect blue accent 1. I'm going to click it one time and look at the cool gradient it put in and made the text black. That was all part of the theme and is built into it. Step 10 says to save the file, so I'm going to click save. I'm going to go to the next part of the chapter now. Using WordArt and inserting pictures. WordArt is great for creating smart-looking objects and special effects such as logos and headings in newsletters, flyers, and brochures. You can create WordArt by adding your own text to a WordArt object, or you can apply a WordArt object to existing text. You can use built-in designs as they are, or you can customize them. There's so many things you can customize in this. It just gets crazy. You can browse through your computer or other computers to locate pictures. So when it comes to pictures, you can get pictures from your computer. That's what pictures means. Online pictures means that it does a search for you through the Microsoft Bing, I believe it is. Word now allows users to insert icons and 3D models. That has to be with version 2019 and 365. So if you have 2016 or older, you won't have the 3D model stuff. This is all found from the Insert tab. So insert text word art, insert illustration pictures or online pictures, insert illustrations icons, or insert illustrations 3D models. Cropping and enhancing pictures. Word art and pictures can be rotated, resized, and moved just like the box you drew here, the rectangle. There is a cropping tool, which means you can try to take parts of the image out. It's not the best program in the world to do it, but it can certainly help if there's like an edge or a side, you don't need parts of it. Okay. They also talk about setting a transparent color tool. That means that you can make a part of the graphic see-through. Whatever color it is, you're going to try to make that color see-through. Aligning objects, you can manually drag and put the objects where you want to line them up. You can also use the align feature on the shape format ribbon here. In this arrange group, there's an align button to help with that. I'm going to let you look at that more on your own as I go here to try to help you with some of these steps. Develop your skills W4D3. Save your file as W4D3 brochure revised. We're going to skip that because all they're changing is the D3 part, which to me isn't that necessary. Step 2 says click in the document below the rectangle. So I'll just arbitrarily click here next to that paragraph symbol. And it says choose Insert, Text, WordArt. So Insert tab, Text group over here. WordArt is this kind of sideways looking A that's blue. And if I click it, it gives me some defaults, themes that are there. And I'm going to click on the third row like they're showing me in step 4. Fill black text color 1, outline, white background, etc. And they show you in the book, it's this one on the bottom row, second one in. Step number 5 says, and it still says in step 4, type the ergonomically challenged office. Step 5 says place the mouse pointer on the border of the WordArt object and then drag to position it about 1 inch below the rectangle. So I point near the border here, not on one of the little circles. Make sure it's a little bit below the other graphic. I think right about there is okay. That might be a little more than an inch, a little less, who knows? It doesn't have to be perfect. We can eyeball it later. Okay, step number 6 says with the WordArt object still selected, hold down Shift and click the rounded rectangle. That makes both objects selected. Step number 7, choose Drawing Tools, Format, Arrange, Align, Align Center. So for me, that's Shape Format, Arrange, Align, Align Center. And it makes both these centered, horizontally, that is. Step 8 says, if necessary, drag the selected objects so they're centered. Well, they should be if you did the Align feature, so it's kind of a funny step to me. We're now going to insert a picture. Scroll down and position the insertion point in the left cell of the table. So here's my table here. I'll move my picture out of the way for you. I'm going to click in the left cell of the table. And it says choose step 10, choose Insert Illustrations Pictures. So Insert Illustrations Group, Pictures. And I'm going to choose Online Pictures. Oh, I'm sorry. Not Online Pictures. Sorry, I misread that. Pictures, this device. And make sure you're in Word Chapter 4 and click the Ergo chair and click Insert. Now step number, I'm just going to click Got It. Step number 11 says navigate to your Word Chapter 4 folder and bring in that Ergo chair. Step 12 says hold down Shift and resize the picture using a corner handle until it matches basically the height of the 3 lines of text. You're going to want to do this in small phases. You're going to point to this lower right corner, hold down Shift, drag in a ways, maybe let go of the mouse, come back to that corner, drag in a little. I've seen a lot of students when they do this, they drag in too far and weird things happen, such as flipping it, getting it out of the table, a whole bunch of things. It will flip if you drag past the middle-ish area. So be careful of that, okay? Now, step number 13, with the chair image selected, choose Picture Tools, Format, Adjust Color. What you don't know is this picture has a white background behind the chair, and later we're going to change the page color, and we don't want that white to show up. So we're going to make it see-through. It's going to be really cool. I love this feature, actually. So with that chair image selected, step 13, Picture Tools, Format. For me, it's Picture Format, Adjust Group, and then Color. So Picture Format, Adjust Group, Color. That puts me on step 14, Set Transparent Color. I click it. Step 15 says, click in the white background of the image. So anywhere near the chair, but not in the black area of the chair, click. You won't see the change of that until later when we actually change the page color. So don't worry about that too much for right now. Step 16 says click anywhere to deselect the image. Then position the mouse pointer on the line between the two cells and double click to resize the cell. So if I point here between the two squares, my adjust arrow, double click, boom, it looks perfect now. Step number 17, select the table using the move handle. So that's, remember, the upper left-hand corner of the table, that four-headed arrow. Click it and choose Home, Paragraph Group, Center. Voila. Now we don't want the lines of the table. You might not remember that from chapter 2 when we did it. So with the table still selected, choose Home, Paragraph Borders, Home, Paragraph Group, Borders. Click the down arrow menu and choose No Border. We did that before from table design, but that's okay. It can be done from the home ribbon as well. If grid lines appear in the table, although they won't print, you can follow these steps to remove them. I'm going to leave the grid lines on because I like grid lines, but as a reminder, that would be under table layout over here. And you would click View Grid Lines to turn it off. I'm not going to do it because it doesn't hurt anything. I'm going to click Save and move on to the next part of the chapter. Using text boxes and page setup options. A text box is a special type of shape designed for inserting text or graphics. You may wonder how inserting a text box is different from drawing a shape and adding text inside it. It's because of the formatting. All documents are based on a theme, which contains a set of theme colors and theme fonts. Hence, this first rectangle we made, it was blue when it came in. It was white text because of the theme. When you draw a text box, it has no blue. It just has black text, simple as possible. Okay, so text boxes don't contain that formatting. That's the major difference. To bring in a text box, you can go to Insert Illustration Shapes and choose the text box tool, or you could go to Insert Text Box and choose one of the options there. Page setup options. Commonly used page setup options include page breaks, page orientation. So if you want your paper portrait, we call it, the regular upright, or sideways landscape, we call it. And paper size are the other common ones. All these are located in the page setup group on the layout tab. Remember page breaks, we did a couple of those in the last chapter. We can do Control Enter, or you can go to the layout tab, breaks, to bring in different types of breaks. I'm moving on to develop your skills W4D4. I'm not going to do step 1. I'm skipping the save as. Step 2, choose Insert Illustration Shapes, and then choose Text Box. So Insert, click the Insert tab, Illustrations, Shapes, and the text box is this first A looking one, and when you rest on it, it should say text box. Be careful, they have two types of text boxes now, one with wording that goes downward instead of left to right. So click that one. Step 3 says position the mouse pointer below the WordArt object you created previously and drag to draw a text box about 2 inches wide and about 1/2 inch tall. So if you kind of eyeball on your ruler, I'm around 1 inch here. If I go around to 3-ish, go down about 1/2 inch. You can adjust it later, but what we're going to do is step 4, type this text and size the box so the text wrapping is the same as shown. So that means no enter key. I have a lot of students who do this who end up pressing their enter key when they shouldn't. So I'm going ahead and typing in the wording that they want. And once again, they seem to always get my cell phone number somehow. Just joking, that's not mine. Okay, and as you can see, I got mine actually just about wide enough. Maybe it's a hair too wide, so I'll drag that in. Point to the bottom one, maybe drag it up a little so it looks a little better like that. Step 5, if the email address appears as a hyperlink, right-click it and choose Remove Hyperlink. So sometimes the first thing to do is click on it one time to make sure your cursor's in it. Right-click and choose Remove Hyperlink. Step number 6, make sure the text box is selected. So click on the outer edge of it. That selects everything around it. And choose Home Paragraph Center. Home Paragraph Center. And it centers the wording in there. This time it didn't center the whole object. Okay. Step number 7, choose the drawing tools. For me, it's shape format. Shape styles area, shape outline, menu button. and choose blue accent 1 lighter 40. So for me, that's shape format. And they want me to go to shape styles, shape outline, and they want me to choose blue accent 1. So it's likely one of these. And they want lighter 40%. So that's this first one here, right? Oh, that's dark blue. So it's next door. It's 5 column, 5th column, 2nd row. 80%, 60%, 40%. 4th one down. Click it one time, and that made the line around the box blue. Step number 8, with the text box still selected, hold down Shift and click the WordArt, then click the box above, the rectangle. Step 9, choose Drawing Tools. For me, it's Shape Format. In the Arrange group, that's this group here, click Align again and choose Align Center. Now everything's centered. Okay? It says click to deselect if necessary and move the text box so it's well balanced. So you can see maybe my text box is a little high. Maybe I want to drag it down slightly. And now I got it centered pretty well. Okay. Step number 11, position the insertion point at the bottom of the page. So I'm going to click underneath my table. Step 12, choose Layout, Page Setup, Breaks. So that's the Layout tab, Page Setup group, Breaks, and they want me to choose Page Break. That forces me to now go to the new page 2. They want to teach you now how to get rid of a page break and then bring one back in. Okay, so it's kind of a redundant step, but they ask us to do this to help you learn how to get rid of one. It says, if necessary, display the formatting marks and notice the page break symbol. So that's this symbol here. It says now you'll delete the page break and then use keystrokes to bring it back in. Step 14, position the insertion point in front of the page break symbol. So just click there on the left and press the delete key. Step 15 says do Control Enter. So hold Control, just tap Enter one time. Don't do it a bunch of times or you're going to get an extra page. In fact, mine registered twice, so I have to be careful. Actually, mine did not register twice. I just, unfortunately, I'm getting something weird here to happen. So when I'm deleting my page break, I need to make sure I'm really on page 1. I don't think it properly deleted a moment ago. So I'm going to try again, Control Enter. Okay, so I'm going to just go here to page 2. What's happening to me is I have too much space here. So I'm going to take one of these enters out to properly do this. Now I'll go here and do Control Enter. There we go. So as you can see, sometimes things are not perfect, and that can happen to you sometimes, where in this case, one regular enter would have put me on page 2. You don't really need to bring in a page break for that. So step 16 says save and leave the file open. Linking text boxes. Sometimes you need a selection of text to begin in one text box and end in another. Making such a change manually can be difficult. Any other changes you make to the formatting, layout, or content of the document can move and change your text boxes. It's far easier to have Word do the work for you. I remember years ago when I had to do this, you had to try to balance it yourself. It was no fun. So once you've created the text boxes you want to use, you link them together with the Create Link command under the Format Contextual tab. So we're going to do that in a moment. It says, in this exercise, you will insert a text box into which you will pour the text from another text box that has already been created. You'll then resize the first box to see how it adjusts well. Step number 1 says open W4D5 linking and save it as W4D5 linking revised. So it's File, Open, click Browse. I'm still in Word Chapter 4. I'm opening up the one named Linking. They want me to do the Save As. Let me go ahead and drag that off to fit better. File, save a copy on my machine, Save As probably on yours. Click after the word linking, and I put the word revised. And then I can click Save. Takes a moment or two. So here we have one text box, and we're going to make another text box down here, and we're going to have some text linked together. It's pretty cool. So step number 2 says place the insertion point in the line below the green callout. So that's just click down here below the screen to get your cursor there. That's really important. Okay. And step number 3 says choose insert text box menu button, simple text box. So that's insert, text group, text box, simple text box. And you notice it just brings one in for you. It says drag the handles at the left and the right sides of the text box so the sides line up with the rest of the content in the middle. So in other words, I can point to this circle on the right side edge, drag it to about where that green line ends, point to the one on the left here in the middle, drag it to around where the left side is, right about there. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. Step number 5, click anywhere inside the text box to select the placeholder content. So that's here, and press the delete key. Step 6, click anywhere inside the text box at the top middle. So that's this one. With text boxes, it's often important. Click anywhere in that wording. Step 6 also says now click drawing tools. For me, it's shape format. The format group, text, create link. So it's really the shape format, text group if you have the group names, create link. You'll notice your mouse looks like a little pitcher, like a pitcher of water. And it says in step number 7, hover the cursor over the empty text box, that's the one down here, and then click once to pour the rest of the material in there. See how that worked? Isn't that really cool? So there is more text that we weren't seeing here that now is showing down there. Step 9 says drag the center bottom handle of the top text box up to resize it and remove the bottom line. So I point here to the bottom handle, drag up just a little bit so it now has 3 lines. Now this has 3 lines. Okay. And what I would do if I were in this book is I would actually size that one up so they look a little more balanced with each other. But isn't that really cool? That linking of 2 text boxes together is really powerful if you're making a brochure looking thing like this and you want to have some text start here and flow over there. And you can even make this one link to even a 3rd text box and a 4th, whatever you need to do. It's really magical. You just make sure you're in this text box to start. You'd click the create link and go click the 3rd text box. So it's really awesome. I'm going to go to save now. I'm going to go to file close. That brings me back to our brochure we were working on. So we're now going to work with SmartArt. SmartArt is really cool looking graphics that help make a better visual picture of things you're trying to do. Some types of WordArt have hierarchies. Sometimes it's just a list or it shows a process. There's all these different styles of SmartArt. I'm going to give you an opportunity to look through this and read it a little bit more on your own. I just want to help you more with the steps and understanding that SmartArt is a way to kind of make a graphical picture of something you want to say. Okay? Where you get SmartArt is from Insert Illustration SmartArt. And when you insert it, it's going to modify the exact same way as the shapes we've been doing. Its size is the same way. It's going to have a contextual ribbon the same way. And it can do all the basically similar stuff that all the graphics we've done up to this point can do. Okay? Be sure to watch these videos if you ever get a chance. I'm going to do Develop Your Skills W4D6. I'm not going to bother with step 1. Step 2 says, if necessary, move the insertion point to the top of page 2. So I'm going to click and make sure I'm here at the top of page 2, which I am. Step number 3 says choose Home, Paragraph, Center. So I click the Home tab, Paragraph Group, I click Center. Step number 4 says choose Insert Illustrations, SmartArt. So that's Insert Illustrations Group, SmartArt. Follow these steps to insert a SmartArt graphic. Step 5. 5A says choose the list category on the left. That makes it a little faster. Step B says scroll down and choose the vertical block list. So I'm going to scroll slightly here. This one's vertical block list. I can wait for the screen tip. I can also click it once and it tells me here, vertical block list. If you're real careful, the one next to it has a similar name. I'm going to click OK. And here it brings me my SmartArt. So see how it's a neat way to give your audience members information. You could type a main subject here and put some subpoints, and you can fill it in either by clicking in the box here and type, or you could do it in this panel over here. We're first going to do this particular SmartArt by using this panel. The next SmartArt object we do, we click in the actual shape. So you're going to experience both ways in just a moment. Okay, step 7 says if the text pane is not visible, click the little tab. So if you see this text pane, you have nothing to do, but what they're saying is this little arrow, one click makes it hide, the next click makes it show. We're now going to customize the image. The image has 3 major text objects, but you use only 1. So that's by default, this came with 3 major text objects. That means this leftmost bullet, 1, 2, 3. And they want us to highlight the first 6 of these according to step number 8. Position the mouse pointer to the left of the first major bullet and drag down 6 bullets worth. So I just point here, drag down 6 of them. So there's only 3 left. And step 9 says press delete. Step 10 has the typing for me. It says follow these steps to begin entering the seminar topics. So step 10A says type seminar topics. But don't do anything too quick. Step B says press the down arrow on your keyboard. Because the bullet's already there, you have to use the down arrow key. And now I'm going to type in ergonomic office furnishings. Then I can notice that the text appears in the graphic as you type. Step 11, do the down arrow again, because there's already a bullet there. I want mobile workstations. Now we need more bullets, but the down arrow won't do anything because there isn't a bullet already there. So step 12 says press enter and type technology support. Step 13 says press enter and type the next 2 bullets. So personal, I need an enter, and then I can do Q and A, which means question and answer. Step 14 says click the little close box in the upper right corner of the graphic here, of the, the pane. Step 15 says click the outside border frame. So that's this outermost. Be real careful here to get this outermost line. The whole object is now selected. Step 16 says drag the bottom center sizing handle up until the image is approximately half as tall as it regularly is. So right now I'm just going to drag up a bit to right around there. Okay, and you'll notice the text adjusts automatically. That's the other magic of the SmartArt. It's fresh. Love it. Step 17 says save your changes. So I'm going to go to save. Next portion of our book here is changing the SmartArt style. SmartArt styles are just like we did with the rectangle. We can add many different effects to our SmartArt. That's going to be found under our SmartArt Design contextual tab, or possibly the SmartArt Format tab over here. Mainly designed for the beauty. Parts of the beauty. Format has things like color and stuff. Well, other stuff, not necessarily as much. Okay, so step number 1 here for develop your skills W4D7. Develop your skills W4D7. We're skipping step number 1. Step 2 says make sure the outside border of the object is selected. So go click it again if you want. Step 3, choose SmartArt. In my case, it's design. SmartArt styles, change colors. And step 4 says in the accent 1 category, choose gradient loop accent 1. So I believe it's this last one. No. Gradient range, gradient loop accent 1. So it's this 4th one in. Step number 5. Choose SmartArt. In my case, I don't have the word tools. SmartArt design, SmartArt styles, more. So SmartArt styles, I click the more button. You can pretty much choose any one of these you want, but the book says in step 6, you're supposed to do the 3D category. In the 3D category, choose metallic scene. Is it this first or second one? Polished. You just have to rest on them and see what they say often. Brick scene, flat scene. Now, am I finding metallic? There it is. So second row, second one in. I'm going to click it, and now I've given it the look that the book would like. Step 7 says press Control End. So if you're not on a Mac, just click to the right of the graphic so you have a blinking cursor, and then press Enter twice. So you're couple of paragraph symbols below the first SmartArt graphic. Step 8 says choose Insert Illustration SmartArt. So back to Insert, Illustrations Group SmartArt. Step 9, click the Process category. Step 9 also says in this category you're going to choose the basic chevron, which is this one. If you click it once, it says Basic Chevron Process. Click OK. Step number 10, click the text placeholder in the first arrow. So that's this one here, and type Our Products. Then step 11, click the next placeholder and type what you see in step 11, which is ergonomic seating. Click in the third arrow and you're going to type wrist friendly keyboards. We want to add one more arrow, so they're going to have us do it by opening up the text panel. Step 12 says click the outside border of the image. So that's the outermost. Follow these steps to add an arrow to the graphic. Step 12A, click the tab to open the text pane. Step B, position the insertion point after the word keyboards up here in this panel, and then press Enter and type adjustable height desks. And then you can close the text pane there. Awesome. We're going to format the SmartArt, so click the outside border of the shape again. Choose SmartArt Tools. In my case, the word tools isn't there, so it's SmartArt Design. SmartArt Styles, change colors. SmartArt Design, SmartArt Styles, change colors. And they want the gradient loop accent 1 again. So that's this fourth one, I believe. Looks kind of cool, doesn't it? Fresh. Step 17, we're going to click the More button on the SmartArt Styles gallery and then choose Cartoon. So that's SmartArt Design, SmartArt Styles, the More button, and they want Cartoon. Is this one Cartoon? I always forget which one Cartoon is. Kind of have to rust on them. Powder, Cartoon, third from the left. Okay, save your changes. We're rolling right along here. Going to continue on now. Formatting the page background. That means putting like a border around the whole page or changing the page color. Borders mean lines around the entire page, basically from margin to margin. Color means background color instead of white. Be careful if you do some of this color stuff of where you're printing it and all that kind of stuff. These are all found from the design ribbon. I'm going to now go to Develop Your Skills W4D8. It says save your file as. I'm going to skip that. Step 2, choose Design, Page Background, Page Color. So the Design tab, I'm going to click it. Page Background, Page Color. It says hover the mouse over several colors and just kind of watch what happens. See? Live preview. That only works on Windows-based machines, so be careful on that. Step number 4 says choose dark blue, text to lighter 40. So these are the dark blues. Text to lighter 40. So that's down here a ways. I think it's third or fourth one. Yeah, that one. I'm going to slide my picture down a little bit. There we go. Okay, so we got this darker color. What I'm going to do briefly is just scroll up to page 1. Notice how the white background behind the chair doesn't show up. That's what happened when we did the transparent background before. I kind of wish they would have done that a little bit differently so that you wouldn't have to see the color quite in that way. But that's okay. Step number 5, chooses Design, Page Background, Page Borders. So make sure you're on the Design tab, Page Background again, Page Borders. Remember, Mac users don't have these group names, but that's okay. Step number 6, choose the box setting on the left. Step 7, follow these steps to format the page border. So step 7A, choose the double line style. So in this area here, you scroll a little bit, choose the double line. Step B says to click the color option and choose blue, accent 1, lighter 40. So here's the blues, lighter 40 is this one here. So it's the 5th column, 4th row down. And then it says choose a width of 3 point. So I click here on the width drop down and I choose 3 point. And then I have to click OK, it also says, so I click OK. Notice my little page border going around there? It's on page 2 and it's on page 1 automatically. It says save and close the file, so I'm going to go ahead and save it. Then I'm going to go to File, Close, and we're going to continue in just a moment. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and click this down arrow, go to the next portion of the book here. Adding special effects to text. To add interest and dimension to your brochures, you can use graphic effects. For example, you can add WordArt for flair. There's a full array of WordArt formatting tools available on the Contextual Drawing Tools Format tab. So we worked a little with WordArt before, now we're just going to do it with other text and learn a few formatting features of WordArt. So I'm on to Develop Your Skills, W4D9. Let's open a new blank document. So that means basically speaking File, New, Blank, and you're basically set. I'm going to zoom in a little bit to make it a little easier for you to see, hopefully. And save it to our Word Chapter 4 folder with this name, W4-D9-Raritan Newsletter, abbreviated on letter. So that's File, Save. I'm going to click Word Chapter 4 over here on the right. I can put the file name in up here. That's W4-D9-Raritan News LTR. And then I can click Save. If necessary, step 2, turn on your formatting marks and type in those 3 lines of text. And then after you type it in, it's step 3, 3 enters, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Step number 4, select Raritan Clinic East, but do not select the paragraph symbol. Now that can be really tough sometimes. See how it's grabbing that no matter what? You got to come back to the left a little bit. So leave your finger down and come back to the left a little. Okay. Step number 5, choose Insert Text WordArt. So let me go there first. Insert Text Group. Remember, it's this kind of slanted sideways blue A. And they want me to choose Fill Blue Accent Color 1 Shadow. I think it's the second one here. Yeah, second from the left, first row. Click it and see how it's already formatted that pretty cool. Isn't that nice? Now, step number 6. With the WordArt object still selected, you can click the edge if you want. Follow these steps to place it in line with the text. You're going to click this word 6A. You're going to click the layout option Smart Tag. And you're going to choose Inline with Text, which is this top option here. Click it, and it moves the text down below for you. Okay? And you can close the gallery with the little X. That's step B. Step 7, click the border of the WordArt to select the entire object. Choose Drawing Tools, Format, Shape Styles, Shape Fill menu button. So that's Shape Format. Make sure it's Shape Styles, Shape Fill, menu button, blue accent 5 lighter 40. So blue accent 5 lighter 40 seems to be accent 5 might be this blue way over here. Blue accent 5 lighter 40. Yeah. Shape fill menu button. Yeah. Perfect. So we click that. Okay. Step 9. Choose Drawing Tools, Format, WordArt Styles. Okay. So this one, remember, was Shape Styles. Now we're to WordArt Styles. So these get pretty tricky. Okay. So it's shape format, WordArt Styles, text fill, which is the second one here. Text fill, I'm sorry, the top one. Click the menu arrow and choose white. Fresh. With the objects selected, choose Drawing Tools Format, WordArt Styles, Text Effects. So this is Shape Format, WordArt Styles, Text Effects is this third A down here, this kind of blue with the outline. Click it. Choose Text Effects and go to Transform. I don't know why they didn't say Transform there, but Text Effects. Oh, it's in step 11. They just didn't highlight it in bold. Drag the mouse pointer down to the transform category and choose chevron down. Chevron down, I believe, is this second row, second one. Usually if you rest on them, they give you a screen tip. Yeah. Okay. Now we're going to center all headings and format one of the headings. Position the mouse pointer on the left margin area next to the WordArt object and drag down to select the WordArt in the other two headings. So I'm going to point here in the margin, drag down, and highlight. Step 13, home, paragraph, center, home, paragraph, center. Step 14, highlight the children's clinic. So I'm going to click away first, highlight the children's clinic, choose home font dialog box launcher, home font group dialog box launcher. Step 14 tells me everything to choose. Step 14A, I'm going to change the font here to Calibri, easiest if you press C. Make it bold right here, size 18. In the effects area, so here's the effects area, check small caps. I like small caps. This is fresh. See how it looks all fresh? The capital T is a little bigger. That's dope. I'm going to click OK. That looks awesome. I'm going to save my changes and move on to the next portion of the book. Using picture effects. We've already briefly explored adding pictures into your documents. Once your pictures have been inserted, you'll be able to apply great picture effects such as shadows, reflections, glows, soft edges, bevels, etc. You can also crop and things of that nature. We get to pictures from the Insert Illustrations group, and we can format pictures from the Picture Format ribbon or Picture Tools format, depending upon which version of Word you have. I'm not going to do the Save As in Step 1. I'm going to go on to Step 2. This is Exercise Develop Your Skills W4D10. Step 2, I'm on now, so I'm skipping Step 1. Position the insertion point on the blank line below the date. So make sure I'm right there below the date. Step 3, choose Insert Illustrations Pictures. So that's Insert Illustrations Group Pictures. And I need to click this device. And it says navigate to your Word Chapter 4 and bring in the Raritan Clinic. So Raritan Clinic and click Insert. Okay. With the picture selected, choose Picture Tools Format, Size, Crop. So Picture Format, Adjust Group for me. I'm sorry, Size Group, Crop. You just click the icon. You don't need the menu. Just click the icon. Notice these black lines that come in. Position the mouse pointer on the right center cropping handle. So that's this right one here. And see how I kind of have a sideways T? Now I'm going to drag to remove the words Raritan Clinic East. Step 7, point to the bottom center cropping handle and drag up to remove the wording Pediatric Diagnostic Specialist. So we just leave the graphic itself. Okay. Also, Step 7 says when you're done doing that, just click anywhere in the document. Now, cropping, just so you know, if you decide to crop again and pull the handles back out, nothing of the image has been actually deleted. So you can bring back parts of that image if you needed to, just so you know. It says in Step 8, if necessary, choose View, Show Ruler, and then resize the image using one of the corner handles, making it approximately 1.5 wide. Well, I'm going to show you another trick to do that. If you click on it, you can, of course, try to drag a handle, corner handle, to make it about 1.5 wide. The other option is when it's selected, you could go to Picture Format. On the right-hand side in the Size group, you can change the width. I can go into this box here where the width is, and I can type 1.5, press Enter, and I've made it 1.5. I kind of like that way to do it personally. Step 9, with the image selected, choose Picture Tools Format, Picture Styles, Picture Effects. So Picture Format, Picture Styles. These are different picture effects. You can click, these are picture styles. Picture effects is this one. They want us to choose shadow and offset bottom right. So that's, I think, this first one, offset bottom right under the outer category. Very hard to tell, but it put a light kind of grayish hue or background behind it. Step 11, choose home paragraph center, home paragraph center, and then save our changes. Now I'm going to move on to the next portion. Setting up columns. When working with images and pictures, you may need extra flexibility in creating your columns. With the columns dialog box, you can specify column and spacing width or have Word put a vertical line between the columns. Develop your skills W4D11. I'm going to skip the save as. I'm on step 2. Position the insertion point on the second blank line below the picture. So we want a little space this time. And choose Layout, Page Setup, Breaks, Continuous. So that's Layout, Page Setup, Group, Breaks, Continuous. Step number 4 says position the insertion point below the section break, so make sure you click below it. Scroll up a little for you. Now step 5, add newsletter text. Choose Insert, Text Group, Object, Menu button. Very important here. We go to Insert, Text Group, the Object Menu button. We did this in the last chapter, those who did the chapter. And we're going to choose Text from File. That's going to put us on step 6. Make sure we're in our Word Chapter 4 folder and bring in the newsletter text. Happens to be this first one. If for some reason you do not see it, you might need to click here where it says all Word documents and choose all files. That's a possibility. So I'm going to click on it and then I'm going to click Insert. So you didn't have to do a lot of typing, luckily. Okay. So step number 7. Choose Layout, Page Setup, Columns, and then choose More Columns. So Layout, Page Setup, Group, Columns, More Columns. Follow these steps to customize the columns we're bringing in. Step 8A says change this value from 1 to 2. Step B says remove the check mark from this box. So you're removing the check mark from the equal column width. Step C says use the spin box to change the width of column 1 to 3.5. So I just used the little up arrow. And notice that the column 2 resizes automatically. If necessary, set the spacing to 0.5 as well. So check the spacing here to being 0.5. Step D says place a check mark in the line between box to add a line between your columns. I love this. This is really awesome. Then click step 9 says click OK. So notice here you have a line between the columns. You'll also notice at the bottom of page 2, the column's not balanced all that well, but that's going to be fixed, I think, in a moment if we bring in a picture. Okay, so step 10, choose Layout, Page Setup, Columns, More Columns. So Layout, Page Setup, Columns, More Columns. In step 11, click the Equal Column Width checkbox, and then click OK. So now they're back to being equal widths. Okay, so some of the text came up a little bit. Scroll through the document to see how it looks, save our changes. I'm moving on to the next portion of the chapter. Artistic effects and wrapping text around a picture. This is awesome. I love what they're doing here. This is really cool. We're going to bring in a picture and make text flow around it. You're going to really like this look. That's what text wrapping is all about. Okay, and we're also going to maybe apply an artistic effect to the picture itself. Okay, so I'm not going to develop your skills W4D12. I'm not going to do the save as. Step number 2, that puts me on step 2. Position the insertion point on page 2 to the left of the heading, the new vaccine. So I'm going to click here right next to the new vaccine. So I have a cursor there. Choose step 3, choose Insert Illustrations, Pictures. Pictures, Group, this device for me. And I'm going to bring in the vaccine pick. So I can click on it, click Insert, or I could double click it either way. Okay. Step 5, resize the picture using a corner handle till it's about 1.5 inches wide. So once again, I mentioned before, you can use picture format. Go here to the width box and type in 1.5, then you don't have to worry about dragging it and eyeballing it. If you prefer, you can just drag the corner handle. That's your choice. Step number 6, with the picture selected, choose Picture Tools, Format, Adjust, Artistic Effects. So that's Picture Format, Adjust, Artistic Effects, and then choose Crisscross Etching. So crisscross etching. sketch. I think it's line drawing. You have to kind of point to these, kind of figure out which one it is. Is it this one? I wish they would have told us where it is. So it's the fourth row, third one in, crisscross etching. Now I'm on step 7, choose picture tools, format, picture styles, more. So that's picture format, picture styles. These are the styles here. Click the more button, the things with the clouds in them. And it says use live preview to sample what some of these look like. It's pretty cool, isn't it? It adds these cool little effects. And step 8 says choose live preview to sample various styles and then choose simple frame black. I believe it's this one here next to the circle. Click it once and it puts a nice line around it. You could always change the color of that line, but we're not getting to it much in this chapter. Step number 9, wrap text around a picture. With the picture selected, click the layout option Smart Tag and choose tight. So remember, this is the layout option Smart Tag. Tight is this middle one here on the first row. And it says click in the document to close the layout options gallery. Okay. It says click in the document to close the layout options gallery. You don't have to insert column breaks and move text around to balance columns. Inserting a continuous section break at the end of the columns you want to balance is a quick trick for accomplishing this task. So it says position the insertion point after the period following disease on the end of page 2. So it's down here for me, the word disease. And it says choose layout, page setup, breaks, continuous. So layout, page setup, group, breaks, and then I choose continuous again. And voila, these are automatically going to balance. It's a little easier than the column break you learned in the last chapter. It says save your changes, so I'm going to save them. I'm going to go to the next portion of the chapter. Printing part of a document. Sometimes you may want to print only a portion of a longer document, maybe a page or two, or even just a couple of paragraphs. This can save both time and supplies. Several techniques make this an easy task. They're found in the print screen in Backstage View. Custom print options allow you to specify which pages to print. We'll do a few of these steps, just realize it's a bit different on the Macintosh. I talked about that before in a previous video. So if you can't do some of this or see the similar settings, don't worry about it significantly. You'll have to figure it out kind of on your machine when you really need to do it. Step number 1, this is Develop Your Skills W4D13. I'm going to click File. I'm going to choose Print. I'm currently previewing page 2. If I want to get back to page 1, I click this arrow. There it is, page 1, page 2. Step number 2 says click the menu button next to print all pages. So here where it says all pages. Step 3 says follow these steps to review the print options. We're just reviewing. It says this option is available only when you select text. So print selection means when you select text first, you can choose print selection. And custom print allows you to specify ranges or sections, basically speaking. Step 4 says click the menu button to close the menu. Step 5, if you want to conserve resources and not print, you can click the back button or print to PDF. You can make that choice in the printer drop-down list. Save the file and exit Word. So we can do, I've already saved, but I can go here, save, file, close, and they actually said we could exit Word. So that's the end of this chapter. As a reminder, if you do the down arrow here, you get to the little quiz. And if you do the down arrow here in the book again, you get to the review exercise. I highly encourage you to do all the reinforce your skills exercises. They also appear in the Canvas course where you can turn them in, as well as the apply your skills that come after these 3 green ones. So I hope this ends out helping you. Have a great day. Good luck with it.